Hello, and today I'd like to talk to you about one of the many things that irritates me as a retired engineer when I look at products available in the shops. It's called designed in obsolescence. What I mean is that there are key features in the product which are deliberately cheaply made in order that the product will fail and that you have to throw it away and buy another one, because nowadays the cost of repairing technology is way higher than the cost of replacing it. So, for example, if you take a product, I remember, like jeans. Jeans were made for the gold miners in America 100 years ago because they were worried about their trousers being torn to shreds by mining, by the rocks. So Levi Strauss came up with a tough material, denim, ultimately, which didn't wear out and was able to withstand being torn and so on by the rocks that they encountered. And so the jeans lasted a long time, so people didn't need to buy new trousers. And now we see Levi Strauss's business is going down because they're not able to buy to sell more products because people buy the jeans and they last a long time. In fact, they actually artificially added tears and cuts to them and made it a fashion icon, bizarrely to me, but that's another issue. The fact is that you can make products to last or you can make them to wear out. Now, when we're looking at saving the planet, the environmental issues, one of the things that people talk about is reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's. Now, while they may talk about reduce in the sense of reducing the amount of rubbish we create, it also means reduce the amount of things we buy. So now you're in conflict between the capitalist market, the product market, whose job is to sell you more and more products in order to improve the economy and make us all richer. But at the same time, that uses up resources. So the best solution, one would have thought, would be save money, only buy what you need, and therefore buy things that are going to last. Manufacturers discovered this, saw their business model was heading downwards, and so they deliberately designed in faulty items. So, for example, the smartphone. Most of us have smartphones, but have you noticed there are 2 fundamental problems with the smartphone? 2 things that are deliberately designed in so that you will have to throw it away and buy a new one. Why do you need to buy a new one otherwise? You don't. The new products are not much better than the old one. You can keep the technology for many, many years. The cameras are way better than anything you need. The memory capacity is way better than anything you need. The technology should keep you going for 10 or 20 years, but that wouldn't be any good for the phone manufacturers. So what have they done? Number 1, the screen. The screen is glass. Now, what a ridiculous product, what a ridiculous component to have in a portable device. Because when you drop it on the floor, which I'm not going to do for obvious reasons, it will break. And therefore, you have to get a new phone. The cost of replacing the glass screen, particularly a touch screen, is more than the phone is worth. And the manufacturers know this. Having a plastic screen would be very easy. They don't want to put one on because glass breaks. If they put a plastic screen on, why would you get a new phone? And so that's the first thing. Deliberately designed in obsolescence. Make a phone fragile, so when you drop it, you can't claim it's poor manufacturing. It's your fault. You dropped it. A crack across the screen, the phone won't work. You have to buy another one. The second thing is the on-off switch. Now, the on-off switches that they put on this phone, and indeed on many phones, are cheap and rubbish. They're not designed to be turned on and off many times before they wear out. My phone, for example, has an intermittent full. You press it on, maybe it turns on, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it turns itself on or off hundreds of times, which is really annoying when you're trying to use it. Designed in obsolescence, they should have put in a switch that is designed to be used thousands or possibly tens of thousands of times. And the reason is that in order to save money on electricity, on charging, you're advised to turn things off. If you leave them on standby, they still use electricity. That's costing you money. So you have to turn them off. And that means the on-off switch gets used far more than it ought to be. Because I can't turn this phone off now. It just turns itself straight back on again, so I don't bother. But if you have a television, a monitor, a lot of electrical devices, check the on-off switch. They are rubbish. They are cheap. They are cheerful. They're designed to fail, having been used just a handful of times. And the reason is they only need to last as long as the manufacturer's warranty, typically a year. If the on-off switch fails after the year, that's okay. It doesn't matter. They don't have to replace it. And you have a hard job finding somebody who's willing to replace the on-off switch for a reasonable price. It's usually cheaper to buy a new one. The manufacturers know this, and that's their way of getting you to buy a new product rather than you keeping the old one for a long, long time. So watch the on-off switch, deliberately designed in obsolescence. Now the other thing is clothes. Clothes are a big issue. People like buying clothes. I don't. I like to buy clothes and make them last. This t-shirt I bought in the 1980s or 1990s. It's still going strong, even though I wash it fairly regularly, which is another issue. Washing machines. They're designed to seriously abuse clothes, causing them to split, so you have to buy new ones. If you want clothes to last, wash them by hand. Most clothes are not really dirty. They're just sweaty. They just need freshening up. So a quick rinse, maybe in the bath. This is the obvious place. After you've had a bath, put your clothes in the bath, in the soapy liquid, and wash them in there. You can be gentle with them and then hang them up to dry. If you use a washing machine, your clothes are going to be beaten to pulp, beaten to shreds. Modern clothes don't last. The material is too thin. It's not designed to last many washes. And so you find you have to keep replacing the clothes. These from the 80s, 1980s, they were made to last. Modern clothes are not. They're not designed to last. Pretty much everything I've bought since the year 2000, after using it for a year or two, it's fallen apart and I've had to throw it away. That's what the manufacturers want. Unlike Levi Strauss with their wonderful jeans, they want clothes that are going to fall apart, ideally after a year when the warranty runs out, designed in obsolescence. And then come to one other final issue, zips. Zips are wonderful devices. They're much, much better for holding things together than buttons or belts or whatever. And they're designed to seal. You have a zip on the top of like this rucksack, and it keeps everything safely and securely inside regardless. Manufacturers know that you want a rucksack that's going to be hard wearing and last a long time. So how do they ruin it for you? They use a cheap zip. And so because replacing zips is very expensive, it's not worth the while. So designed in obsolescence, as happened on this rucksack. The rest of the rucksack is still fine. It hasn't even got any holes in. I use it a lot, almost every day. But I can't use the zip on the top pocket. It's broken because it's rubbish design. They've used cheap and cheerful zip teeth and they don't stay. You can't keep them lasting. And so I meant to throw it away. You have a look, jackets, where you have the zip, the full length of the jacket, and they will rip. Now, a good jacket will have a zip and buttons, and the buttons will hold the two parts together and take the stress off the zip. But normally what you find with zips is that there's a material inside which as a flap to cover the zip in theory, but in reality it's to catch in the zip teeth. And once the inner material has caught in the zip teeth, it's almost impossible to remove it. You have to throw it away. Designed in obsolescence. Just remember that when you go out looking to buy things, you want them to last. If you want to save the environment, reduce what you buy, therefore you're reducing what you have to throw away. Only buy what you need. And if you can buy things secondhand, even better, because that means somebody else hasn't got to throw it away. But watch out for designed in obsolescence. That's how manufacturers get you to throw away their existing product and buy a new one. Don't fall for it. watch out for it. Good luck and save money. Thank you.